Hi everyone, welcome to our video on methods of recording your own heritage. Now we are going to explore how we can preserve the type of heritage that we might identify as our heritage. There are different ways to learn about and experience heritage. There are also different ways to research and record it. We can do interviews, oral history, but also we can do textual history, archaeological surveys, excavations, and observations, as well as in situ preservation, photography, digital 3D mapping, and also experimental and ethnoarchaeology. Some of our course experts believe that we need a bottom-up approach to research and understand our heritage. Some even mention experimental archaeology. For example, Professor Peter Pels, whom you will see in the coming videos, says that we can preserve heritage through experimental archaeology. He mentions experimental archaeology in the way that has been applied by the likes of Professor Annelou van Gijn at Leiden University. In the case of the Somali, I have used the knowledge-centered approach, taking into consideration the local knowledge, oral history, and folklore to investigate the region's past. I explained this approach in our last video as a locally appropriate theoretical framework in traditional societies. Skills such as building huts, reviving ancient traditions and dances are preserved in a knowledge and skill-centered manner rather than through object preservation. Also, the knowledge-centered approach is holistic. The landscape where everything comes from and life is played out is at the heart of the issue. The landscape has many significances, such as medicinal, spiritual, subsistence, social, economical, and artistic meaning. Objects play an important role, and indigenous communities place these in a context of the landscape rather than in a museum. As I mentioned before, the notion of keeping things in a museum is not universal. As you can see in the picture here, the rugs reflect experiences, skills, objects, and landscape which are tied together. Also, archaeology does not encapsulate all ancient things. For example, there are ancient living things that are not necessarily seen as part of archaeology, yet they should be. For example, trees are the oldest living things. Some are thousands of years and still counting. Even here in Northern Europe, we have the notion of sacred trees. For example, the linden tree in Heide in Germany that you can see in this picture is symbolic as a place where important meetings were held, and today it's significant for the celebration of the community. There are other significant trees in Germany, for example, sites of political independence like in Friesland. Furthermore, in Somali culture, trees are used like a current-day parliament building or a court where people gather, give and take important news and make decisions. As we will hear in the next video, some of our experts who will share their views on their heritage. Now, I share some of my heritage too. My grandmother left me an object. I knew nothing about it. However, after researching it, I learned that the waga, a sacred wooden sculpture kept by Somali women, sheds light on the significance of sacred medium. It's used within child health and protection practices. The waga sculpture gets its name from a local tree, the African olive, which is believed to be sacred. The interesting thing about the waga is that it seems to donate an ancient symbol of belief in sacred trees within Somali society. There is also a potential link between the waga and the ancient gods of the people of the Horn of Africa. And it has been shown to be associated with major archaeological centers. The religious center of Saint Oberkhadle, located in the 12th century Islamic ruined town of the same name, was a major pre-Islamic ritual and burial site, according to recent archaeological work, and may be linked with practices of the Wagger and the pre-Islamic religion. The study of the Wagger and the shrine of Oberkhadle contribute to the archaeology of religion and also to historical archaeology in the Horn of Africa. This study of my grandmother's Wagger has also led me to another heritage, ethnomedicine. Let us take, for example, a medicinal plant used in healing therapies in East Africa. I am talking about the butterfly bush, or tire as it's known locally. Please note the butterfly shape of the petals. Rotheca miracuidis is known to possess a number of medicinal components as confirmed by studies of modern science, and it's a significant component in healing practices. I mentioned both the Wagger and the tire practices as important heritage that's not necessarily typical, yet critical to societies. They both demonstrate how rituals, beliefs, and material culture play a paramount role in our societies. Also, these plants are part of sacred landscapes associated with past legends and archaeological sites in the Horn of Africa. In the next video, our team of experts will share their personal views on their heritage. See you next time.